Hi lovely humans, this is going to be a video about long distance relationship, and since we've been together for over 2.5 years and over 2 years long distance at this point, so we have some experience doing the whole long distance thing. We have done, first it was France, USA, then France, Canada, then UK, Canada, and now France, Canada. And you know, a pandemic thrown in the middle of that. So we do have some experience with long distance relationship. A long distance relationship will expose your insecurities and problems earlier on. In most cases, I feel like there are two big case scenarios. Either the fact of being long distance exposes the insecurities, the dirty stuff, all of the things that can go wrong, basically. And either that break your relationship, which, you know, it often does, or you work through that. Or another possibility is you're fake through your long distance relationship. And you only present the rosy version of yourself, and you only present your best self in not in a, I'm trying to be the best version of myself, which I am, but more in a, I am being another version of myself. That's not true. And then when those people close the distance is when they break up.
Yeah, because I guess in a long distance relationship, you can kind of pick and choose a little bit more what you present to your partner in a way that you don't get to do that when you are living together.
But if you try to do that, it means that when you're close at a long distance, your partner's gonna be like, who is that person? So, you know, be on it.
And I think, to be fair, you don't always realize if you're doing that either. So I think that's, if you can make it happen at some point when you're visiting each other, to visit for longer periods of time, then that will help kind of expose if you're doing that unconsciously. Or even just expose little things that might become an issue when you eventually close the distance.
Before the pandemic, we were already planning on visiting each other for an extended amount of time. But because of the pandemic, we had to spend 7 months and then 8 months without seeing each other. So each of those visits have been a month. But yeah, like traveling together, seeing how they react in stressful situations, living together for like some time, and not in a, we're like going out all the time. You know, we both have work to do and things, and like how do you handle like groceries and like who's cooking and shit like that, and have like conversation about, okay, if/when we live together, how much time do you want with your friends? How much
Yeah, it's also, important to note that when you're visiting each other,
it's still not the real life.
It's not real life, because like it's a state of exceptionalism where you're like, I finally get to see you and I'm really excited about that, and it's only for this period of time. So you're going to behave differently than when you're actually living together. Yeah. But you should like realize that and be like, okay, like for example, when I come visit you in Paris and it's like the first time maybe when I was there for 2 weeks, it's like, yeah, we can go out to dinner pretty much as we want. I'm on vacation. I'm on like 2 weeks and I'm really excited to see you. Or like we can go out to dates all the time, whatever. If we were living together, I am way too frugal for that kind of thing. I need to say, like, this is not normal. This is not how I would live my life, right? So addressing those sorts of things.
Yeah. And that, like, talking about finance. When we were talking about the big compatibility question, talk about finance, talk about kids, talk about religion. All of those things. I mean, we actually talked about these before we were even...
First, second, third date.
Yeah, like those were like, we had a conversation about God and religion on a second date. So all of those conversations we had before we were even seriously dating. Which is good for us. That's convenient.
Yeah. But those are big things that you have to think about and talk about.
And also, again, revisit.
Yes. Any relationship takes an amount of like self-reflection, and to be able to give honest answers to those kind of serious questions and not present an answer that you think your partner would like, or the answer that you would like to give but isn't actually true. But also if that answer is, I don't know, or like...
How many times have you been interrupted by bells?
Sunday. Yeah, if that answer is, I don't know, I think I feel this way now, but that might change, then that's the honest answer that you should give.
Yeah. Another point I do remember now getting, but we're going to try to be short on this, okay? how do you deal with unsupportive parents slash friends? Like people were like doubting your relationship is real, or like, oh, you will have to break up, this can't work, they're cheating on you, etc.
Long distance or
yeah, long distance.
Okay.
The thing is, I don't think neither of us have dealt with this.
Not really. No. I think that comes from, again, like, that's not your issue. Like that's their problem.
I love you say that, like, hey, that's not your issue.
It's on them. I don't know. Like, again, where is that coming from? Why are they telling you that? Because they are projecting some kind of insecurity, or they're worried for you, or I don't know. Like,
yeah,
it's
like,
not your problem.
Like, the only case where I can see that being valid is if you're quite young and there's a big age gap. But in that case, I'm like, it's not the long distance. Is that in general, those relationships can be worrying. And when they can't meet that other person that you're in a relationship with that's older than you, they're worried for you.
Yeah, I think in general, that's kind of what I was trying to say, is that when people give you that kind of advice, that it's probably because, one, they're jealous, they're insecure, or they're worried. And so if you can identify which one of those it is, and then dig...
Yeah, the first two, we don't care. Like, they're jealous, they're insecure, not your problem.
Right.
They're worried.
Why are they worried?
Yeah, is
like,
there a valid reason they're worried?
Yeah.
Is it because they think it's going to be too hard for you? Is it because they think your partner is not healthy for you? Is it because they think you're isolating yourself from your like day-to-day friends in your real life because you're spending all of your time talking to your partner? Which can be a fair reason to worry.
Yeah.
Like, try to get to the source and see how valid it is, and if there are maybe things to reconsider.
If you can arrange to meet each other's families and friends and see how they react in person, that can also give you some more information.
Even through FaceTime, like even if it's like on a call. We did privilege strongly like meeting in person for us. Because that was also something that we were able to do somewhat.
Yeah.
Like when I was living in SF, before we even went long distance, I had two very close friends visit me that I was like, yeah, meet my girlfriend and my mom. So like, even before we went long distance, I managed to just like introduce you to a bunch of people.
Yeah, and you met one of my very close friends pretty early on as well.
I met your sister very early on.
Yeah, and I think that is really important because it's another issue of compatibility to an extent. You know, like your family is your family. Your partner will / is your family. They don't need to mesh, but there's an element of can it work?
Yeah.
Will it be a constant source of conflict? And if it will be, can you deal with it?
Yeah. Like, of course, in our case, for some family and friends of mine, there is a bit of a language barrier because they don't speak English super fluently. Like, they all speak some English. It's just for some of them, it's harder than for others. But outside of that, I felt like, in general, like, you've just meshed very well with them. And
getting good responses from them can also be very, like, reassuring and helpful in your relationship, too. Like, when you met my very good friend early on, I remember her telling me afterwards, like, yeah, I was, like, not worried, but, you know, I was on guard. I have to make sure that they're going to be, you know, good enough for you. And then I met you, and I saw you both interacting, and I was like, oh, yeah, okay. You're being your whole self around her. She's being someone who really enjoys being around you, and you obviously really enjoy being around her. I can see how this relationship works. So,
yeah.
Like, hearing that from somebody that you're close to and whose judgment you trust can be very affirming as well.
Yeah, like, all of my friends who met you when we were still in SF were like, you guys are just comfortable. You guys are just, like, cute. You're, like, everyone was like, you're very wholesome. You're very, like, chill. Like, we give off apparently very chill, cute energy. I don't know if that's the case on video, but apparently that's the vibe we give off in real life.
I guess that's one more thing that you could address maybe about long distance relationships is when there is big language or cultural barriers. We don't have big cultural barriers.
We do!
Some, but they're not like as big as some others.
No, yeah. I think, again, the fact that I've lived in the US and I've been interested in the US helps. And I feel like the fact that you're very open-minded about me having different things and be very curious helps. Because it's like, we do come from different cultures and we do have different backgrounds, but we are very ready to like listen to the other and embrace some of their things. Like, I know like a lot of things, like, especially given like you being raised in rural Colorado and then Nevada, like there are lots of things that are appealing to you that in the first place would not have been appealing to me. And now I'm like, yeah, maybe, why not? Because like you have to be open to your partner also like bringing ideas from their culture if you have different cultures and like introducing you to new things. Embrace them for everything that makes them them. For you, that includes like being from where you are, being American, having this perspective, having like this insights on topics that I don't have. And so you can like bring things to me and I'm like, oh, I've never thought of this. This is not a perspective I've had. This is not a topic I've thought of. Cool, interesting, like think about it.
Yeah.
And I actually think in our case, it's not like we don't have cultural difference like in the sense of disagreements, but more in like the sense of like a very interesting conversation.
Yeah.
Like it makes for very good conversation topics. Like we have like an endless...
It doesn't drive any conflict, and there's nothing really to sort out about the cultural differences, which I think make them easier than some other ones could be.
Yes.
But yeah, it is just then being open-minded and saying like, oh, that's cool, I didn't know that. Never thought of it that way.
Yeah. Yeah. And that makes also like the relationship more interesting in ways, because I'm always like learning. So, how am I ever going to edit this? This was an hour. Okay, so I think the takeaway was accept that things aren't perfectly certain and it's okay to have doubts.
Communicate extensively and purposefully, like
intentionally.
Yeah. And meta communicate as well.
And remember why you are with this person in the first place. Remember why you're doing this, because we're talking about a lot about like work and things, but most of the time we're very silly. We make random noise. We sing a lot to each other. We dance a lot to each other. We're just like, yeah. Like that's just like, of course there are lots of parts that are like serious and putting in the effort and all of that, putting in the money, because we didn't talk about money. But time, like of course, like I'm trying to like it's gonna cost you a lot of things that are things you don't want to spend in terms of time, energy, effort, money, but it's because you're silly and you love each other, and like don't take yourself too seriously.
This has also been only from our perspective, which is like super limited. I would be interested to hear like if people commented or got in touch with you, like their own advice, their own experiences, their own...
You're such a YouTuber. Okay, leave in the comments. I love it. I agree. Yeah. Like it's the perspective from two people who are white, from the developed world, who have like passport that allow us to travel. They don't have like significant cultural religion differences. We are both women and gay, but that didn't really factor in the conversation for us. Like that was not a factor in this conversation, because it's honestly not a factor for us personally. But if you're also gay in a long distance relationship, that might add another layer to you. It's an intersection of a lot of things. So this is just our experience, our perspective with our personalities, which are what they are.
Overly pragmatic and...
overthinking?
Not overthinking. Over intellectualizing or being purely logical, which can be helpful sometimes. I'm
very emotional as well.
Yeah.
Okay, we don't know how to end this video. Basically, tell us in the comments what's your experience like. If you've been in a relationship, in a long distance relationship, how did that go? What tips can you share? What do you think about our tips? Are we saying crap? You're free to think so, you're free to disagree. Do tell. If you want to see more of my content and like travel videos, videos about life in France and abroad and gay shit, you can subscribe to this channel, and you can also follow me on Instagram. I think this is where I'm going to put my Instagram. If you want to follow more of my day-to-day, my pictures of Paris, and do I put also your Instagram?
I was just gonna say, if you want to see more of me, too fucking bad, because you won't, probably, for a while. was nice to be here.
Yeah, if you want to see more of that and you're like, oh, I love this person, I want to see more, I do have other videos with her on my channel. I will put somewhere in here, there will be a link if you want to just watch all of her pretty face. Thank you for watching until the end. That was so fucking long, I'm pretty sure. But thank you, and see you soon, I hope. Before we were serious, my mom just was afraid that she might sexually traffic me. But...
that you should get.
Yeah.
We don't have the memory card space for these belts.
we really don't. They should just shut the fuck up. I'm just doing dumb faces. I don't know why you're reacting to this. I'm just doing dumb faces.
Put your lipstick on me.
No, you're not. I don't have it. This is not the takeaway from this.